This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next stop is Fulton Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Hi everyone, welcome to In the House. My name is Elena La Casa. I'm here today with Maria Añez. She's Venezuelan. She's living in Argentina for the past 4 years now. She has also lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. She's a dancer, she's a comedian, she's a journalist, she's a feminist, an immigrant. She's a big fan of RuPaul Drag Race. Welcome to In the House.
Thank you, Elena. I'm so happy to be here.
This has been a true struggle for both of us. I'm so happy to have you here. We met a few months ago in the BA Comedy Lab.
Yes.
And that's a comedy show we have in Buenos Aires where we do comedy in English. In case you're visiting, please welcome following us in all social media. And Maria is very, very funny.
Thank you.
We were talking about how you became involved in comedy, and I was surprised to know that in a way you were like, oh, journalists and comedy, they come together, so I'm just gonna do journalism, which is like the opposite route we would expect here in Buenos Aires. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Okay. To me, it was like that because the first people I saw doing comedy were really related to journalism. When I was a kid in Venezuela, there was a show called Ni tan tarde, which is like not so late. It ran at like 11 p.m. I got screamed at by my mom every single school day for years because I stayed up late watching it. And it was two journalists, Luis Chaten and Erika de la Vega, and they did like the whole comedy and interview was about what was going on in the country at the moment. And they had a really fresh outtake. And as a granddaughter of a journalist, I had, the tendency of reading the newspaper every day with my granddad. So it was like reading something in the morning and then seeing it on TV, translated into something funny and that you could understand what was happening. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like, this is cool. So when I went to college, it was like, yeah, I'm doing journalism. That's my thing. And when I started writing and working on it, I always found a way of introducing comedy in it because there is this writer and comedian in Venezuela called Aquiles Nazoa who said like comedy is the best way of teaching because you don't know that you're learning when you're laughing. So I always thought of that, like when you, as a journalist, you have to be objective at every shot you take, but you also have the chance of dropping some truth bombs in there,
opening someone's eyes. And
that's where we're going to comedy, because I think it's gonna be like a soft blow. It's gonna hit hard, but it's gonna feel like like a kitten licking your cheek, but you're actually just like giving you a hard knock on life. And then I started seeing people like Jon Stewart and Dan Oliver and all this amazing critical and political comedy, and I was like, okay, so I have this background, and the people I admire now are doing this, and they're comedians, so I guess I have to get into comedy. And all at the same time, I always wanted to work with different types of narratives that didn't have to deal with reality as a whole, because it's a lot of responsibility, and I just wanted to do crazy shit. Can I swear? Because I'm gonna swear a lot.
Yeah, we can just put explicit on it and we're gonna be just fine.
I'm gonna swear a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanted to do crazy shit, and to me it was like, okay, what was Tina Fey doing at this time? She was doing improv and she was doing stand-up. Okay, that's my route. So when I came to Buenos Aires, I had to take a shot.
Yeah, for people who are listening from any other country that isn't Argentina, typically people go into stand-up comedy by taking a class. It's usually a 16-class course. It's about 4 months long, and that's where they teach you basic writing skills. You probably know we typically use all the same things you use, but we're just learning in a very school-like way.
It's a wholesome way.
Yes.
A wholesome approach to comedy.
Yeah, and then you build your first 5 minutes there, and then you move into doing open mics and such, but you already have like those 5 minutes to just get by for the first time. Like, we don't have comics doing stand-up or learning stand-up on their own, where they do like 3 years of open mics where they are just like trying to figure out what's funny and what isn't. You just take this class and then you move on to becoming interesting or so. But like the thing that struck me the most in Chicago, where I was living for a few months, is that when people do this thing that they don't take a class, they just start doing comedy in open mics, is that they are trying to learn what's funny and to be interesting or shocking or whatever at the same time, and they fail at both. In a way, when you already have some knowledge of what the skills you need and what kind of joke and punchline, like you have the technical skills to do so, then you can move on to being interesting or delivering a message or being critical or something. When you don't know the technique, it's very hard to do both at the same time.
I think because I have a journalism background, and I also studied like how to do screenwriting for TV or for movies when I was in college, I knew how to create a scene. So that sort of came easy. And I knew what made me laugh. I just knew that didn't make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
Like my type of comedy, maybe someone like John Oliver, I think he's a freaking genius, and someone may say like, he looks like a turtle and it's not funny. And I will disagree. And I think when you don't have like many references, and I don't know, there is a joke that Ondina Rancia does, like she never knows how to or who to call out when they ask her who's your favorite comedian. I don't think I have a favorite comedian, but I know the type of things I like that make me laugh, and to me in a way that kind of gives you some type of shape, like okay, I want to tap into this in my own way. The big question mark is, what is your own way? Yeah. Because I think at first you're trying to be like, okay, so I want to be a Tina Fey type of blah, 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 blah. And what comes out of your mouth is like, no, girl, no. Yeah. Please don't. And that happens a lot.
Yeah. It also feels like very different when you see comics, at least here in Buenos Aires, I would say that between the 2000s and 2010, most people who were getting into comedy were 30 or 40. So these were people who have already like they are set in their ways, and they already know how they live and how they feel about stuff. You're not going to move them from where they are and how they feel about stuff. And they are just doing the jokes. They are writing accordingly to their beliefs. And then I would say between 2010 and now 2020, we have a lot more young people coming into the comedy world. And in a way, when you like, let's say you're a monkey until you're 18, let's say. Of course, there's people who are interesting and intelligent and curious and know about the world. Most of us are just in this nube de pedos, we would say. And you have no idea of the real world out there. And then you go into this world and you start doing comedy. So in a way, you're figuring out who you are and how you feel about the world at the same time that you're doing jokes. And it's very fun to see people, because I believe jokes are like a screenshot of your beliefs.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see people during a period of time and how they're changing and how they are evolving. And that's something that I really like seeing in young comics.
And you can see it in yourself. Like, actually, 2 days ago, I was reading a sketch I wrote January 2019, like exactly a year ago. And I was like, this is good. Like, I should actually record this, except for this part. What
was I thinking?
Like, was this really my view? Like, my take on relationships? No! No, please don't. And I think you have to do that with your own material, because you do it with you know, everything you see. Like, I don't know, you watch Friends today and see like, oh my god, this joke really didn't age well. Like, oh no, girl, no. And that's gonna live forever, but it's not good. So I think that kind of revisionismo histórico,
Yeah.
you have to do it with yourself too.
All the time. And in fact, I think most of us are like more concerned about our old stuff. Like, oh, I want to go back to this joke, but I have to check it before.
Yeah.
And it's actually, no, you should check the stuff you're doing today, because probably it feels so comfortable and it's working so well that you don't actually take the time to listen to yourself. Like, I've been telling this joke for a year. Do I feel the same way?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And does it mean the same, like in this time and age?
Yeah.
Because maybe you're calling something out and you never know.
And also, where are you telling this joke? Because I have jokes where I've used the word bomb, meaning explosion, which in Argentina, okay, that's funny, doesn't hit close to home at all. And then you tell a joke in the United States, and it's like, why is she's not from here, why is she joking about that?
I think there's a lot of why are you talking about that? Like, you specifically. It's like, if you're a white guy and you start talking about brown women, I'm going to be like, I'm gonna wait,
Yes.
because you can really screw this up so quickly,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna call you on it.
Yeah.
So I try not to step on someone else's deal.
Yeah.
Like, I stick to my own. Like, immigrant jokes, okay, I'm an immigrant, I know that shit. Women in general, yeah.
Yeah. So far?
Yeah, so far, I think I could do it. Feminism, yeah, I like to take a blow on it because I'm a feminist and I want to call myself out of it. Like, I know sometimes what we say and what we do doesn't go in the same way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to see what's going on in there. I'm going to do it through comedy. And it's the same way when earlier we were talking about politics, and like, I don't think someone that hasn't lived in my country or where I'm living
Yeah.
should be talking about that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, actually, I've seen, not live, but in a video, I've seen your joke on Venezuelan explaining. For people who are, again, not from Argentina, we Argentinians, or I should say Porteños, we have opinions. Even on stuff we don't really know about, but we have opinions, okay? And we need people to listen to them. I'm not even saying men, I'm saying all of us. And because we have such a high immigration rate from Venezuela, it's a topic that comes out all the time. Do you have a specific take on this?
Yes, my point is, I'm open to talk about it in the proper setting, because
course.
sometimes you're like in a party having a drink and someone is like, so can you please explain me all the whole social political problematic in Venezuela for the past 20 years, and you're like, I just asked for a beer. Can you please leave me alone? Like, to talk about Venezuela, I need like a bottle of rum and a PowerPoint and another bottle of rum in like 5 hours just to explain the first part. It's like a really long season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And we maybe will cover just like the take on oil. We're not getting to Chavismo and all the stuff. So Venezuela explaining comes to be like when someone who has no freaking idea, someone that maybe read like a headline about Venezuela is like, you know what you guys do? You have two presidents right now. Yeah. That's not how we do things. You should do this. And they're trying to explain like 30 years of politics.
Yes.
To someone to actually live them.
Yeah.
In maybe 5 minutes, according to its view, like their view of the world, their way of doing things, that is like, okay, but actually in my country, that's legal. Like, our constitution takes this and this, and they're like, no, yeah, in Venezuela you can do this. No, I'm telling you, it's like, that's legal frame of work.
Yeah.
You should. And one time, I remember I was in a party and a guy like started attacking me, and he wanted to know stuff about Venezuela, and then explaining back to me what he thought.
Oh, so he was testing you to see if you knew as much as he did.
And at one point, I tell him like, well, if you are so informed in this matter, you should know this person did this and this and this and that. And he's like, who's that? And I'm like, well, he is a politician who was involved in this situation, in this other situation, and this other. I'm like, well, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, okay, so if you have that many opinions and you're attacking me, that I actually know how the fuck my country works. Well, where I kind of think nobody knows really. Nobody knows. Nobody knows how Venezuela is running. But we know some stuff. And I knew who this person was, and he was calling the shots at the moment. And I'm like, I think you should know his name.
Yeah.
Before trying to explain to me how we should make decisions.
Yes.
So look some shit up. And it's the same thing like living in Argentina and being an immigrant here. Someone trying to explain to me how immigrant life is in Argentina, and it's like, hey, hold up. No, I'm here.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff. I don't think, what about reading a bit about the country and its history? Reading is fundamental. And that's my take on it. Like, you should never step on someone else's pad in any matter.
Yeah, of course. And also, I feel like there are actually two points to hit. Like, one is basic facts and history and stuff. And also, there is this way of feeling and memories and culture and how people perceive the world. And I feel that like that's the most interesting thing. Like, like I don't need to know all the facts about Venezuela. I'm more interested in for you how it feels like not having interesting food to eat in Buenos Aires. Like that's more interesting to me as a human being.
It is hard. It is
hard.
It's difficult.
Flavor? How do you feel about flavor?
Like, how do you guys live without spices? Like, you're surprised by salt.
Yes. We say this is too spicy and this has just pepper.
Or this is like really strong and it's like it has garlic.
Yes.
That's it. It was just garlic.
Yeah.
And it's shocking. One of the first things I thought when I moved here, I, went to the supermarket for the first time, stock up, started cooking, and I was like, am I dead? Because I don't feel like this salt is working.
Do you really believe our salt is not as salty as it should be?
It's not salty at all.
I didn't know that.
And I had to, like, I remember the first few months I thought, like, I'm gonna have a heart attack because I'm consuming so much salt. I'm gonna die. And then I started going just to, Chinatown, and they have better spices, and I'm fine now.
Yeah.
But at the beginning I was worried.
Yeah, but I do believe that is something happening worldwide. Like, if you want to have fun with food, go to immigrant neighborhoods. That's gonna work every time.
Find your local Venezuelan and follow his way or her way. And you're gonna find tequeños and you're gonna find arepas, and your life is going to change.
Yeah. Trevor Noah has a bit on immigrant food. They're saying where he says, like, if you're not gonna let Mexicans in, then you don't get their spices. Like, you have to figure out how to make potatoes fun.
And I love I don't know if it's the same joke or it's like a callback that he does, that he says, like, and then someone that is really racist is gonna say, you know what, I can live without spices. And he's like, I think you can't. Because the whole point of how the world works right now started with a few white guys crossing the world to find spices,
not knowing if they would actually get there, or if they were gonna fall and get eaten by huge turtles.
But we're gonna find spices.
Yes.
It was that important.
That important. Yeah.
So spice is important in life.
It's important. Also, when talking, not necessarily talking about Venezuela, but talking with Venezuelans, I do believe that coming from such different backgrounds, I feel like we're talking different languages politically.
Yeah.
Because in Argentina, I would say I identify as a left-wing kind of person. Of course, that doesn't necessarily translate into a ballot when I'm going when I'm voting, because sometimes you don't have representatives that actually represent 100% of your values.
I know the situation.
So you have to adjust.
Yeah.
So you adjust. You look for what's best available. Having said that, we've had our own dictatorships, and they've all been right-wing and mostly funded by the United States and the CIA and all these people. So in a way, being a left-wing, knowing all this information, to me, left-wing is good. Dictatorships are right-wing. And for most Venezuelans, their experience is the opposite.
Yeah. Actually, we had a lot of dictatorships. Like, we have a whole history. We love this shit. The past 20 years,
Yes.
it has been a dictatorship where the speech was leftish. I think it was
Yes.
more of a like a name thing.
Yes.
If you start studying about it and try to recognize it, you're gonna find the difference there. It's easy to spot once you see what they say, how they speak, what they do, and how we live. You see the failure in the
Yes.
mixture. But we came from a lot of military dictatorships.
Yes.
So it's funny to me, someone like my granddad, this one to me is one of like the most incredible person in the world. He's smart ass, and he was the one that told me right from wrong and everything. And he's a total leftish guy from the 60s, rebellious. And I'm like, so this is like the fourth time you have been voting for a guy who is in the military?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And didn't you tell me like never vote for a guy who is in the military? Yeah. But didn't you just vote for the guy who is in the military? And that could go on for
Yes.
years because it's still going on. And it's a matter of beliefs. Some people, I don't believe in a speech. I believe in actions. And sometimes you have to take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm gonna give a vote to this person. I'm gonna call it a person, because maybe we can get out of this one. And at the end of the day, to me, it's like politicians don't always have the well-being of the people in mind. Venezuela is like a power struggle coming from different places, not only inside the country. Like, many people have their hands inside of Venezuela.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to like the only thing I care about is not knowing, or actually I don't want to hear a story back again that someone died because they didn't have, I don't know, something as simple as anesthesia in the hospital room.
Yeah.
That's the thing I care about.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a clown saying the country is now, it's going to be called country bill of clowns. Maybe I will vote for you if you make that change. But I don't see anyone doing it.
Yeah.
So for us, at least for me, it's not a matter of left or right. I do know where I draw my line.
Yeah.
And it's hard for Venezuelans when they go out of the country to get out of that like binary train of thought, because it's been so violent and so many years and so recurrent that when you see something kind of similar, you immediately go into, protective mode and say like, no, this son of a bitch is not the same. And like, hey, hold up. Let's try to see what this means in this country.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you have to compromise your beliefs. Let's just try to find out what this means here. It's like we have many words in Spanish that we use in all the countries, and they mean different things.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same. And as a person, I think growing up has a lot to do with recognizing yourself as a political being in society, and that politics are not about, the political parties.
Yes.
Politics is how we
Manage.
function,
Yes.
how we manage in society. So you have to start wondering and questioning yourself, like, okay, where I stand on these issues,
Yes.
and follow along. Because if you're someone that says, okay, fuck immigrants, it's like, okay, you're taking a stand on life. Not exactly the one I want to take. I think we're on different sides on this matter.
Yeah.
And the same with women's rights and with so many other things.
Yeah.
So to follow Venezuelans, to me, is always like, try to put yourself or take yourself out of the blockage. We feel, sometimes I feel like we're like horses that we can only see like exactly what's right straight in front of us, and you have to open your view.
Yeah. Also, I was telling you earlier that me being here, I've never been to Venezuela, and the only thing I've seen from Venezuela is through media, like mainstream media. So in a way, I just heard the left-wing kind of speech that they have, and it's like, oh, this sounds brilliant. So
That was smart.
that was very smart. Venezuelan people must be doing great. And then when everything came down and shut down, it was like, oh, okay, I see how this is going. So it's one thing what they were saying, and it's a whole different thing what they were living.
Exactly.
So yeah, I do believe that there's two different things between what politicians say and what they actually do, and also it's very hard to communicate these backgrounds when I don't know, I have Venezuelans in my Facebook and they share these things where they say socialism is killing people, and it's like, yeah, so is capitalism. So I'm not sure where you were coming from. What are you trying to say? Like, and then if you say like socialism in Venezuela is killing people, yeah, you're probably right. I will never say no to that. It's just like, maybe this is a shitty situation that you're living through, but that doesn't necessarily mean that redistribution of wealth is a bad thing.
Exactly.
That it's
like, I don't know. We have a, I don't know, how do we call it? Ministerio.
I don't know. Ministerio
de Salud. So you can Google
Minister.
it.
No, minister is the one.
It's the minister itself.
Minister is the one who gets you married, right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, when you have a government and you have the people in charge of the different divisions of government, like
exactly.
law or
Health or
welfare.
Exactly. We have one that is just for women, and according to it, like, you can Google this and translate it if you are listening to this in English. According to that webpage of the Ministerio
Department
Department
of
it
Women.
would be like Department of Women Rights, and it sounds like, oh my god, you're so progressive, Venezuela. And if like, you look it up, and then it's like, so Chavez invented feminism in like, I don't know, 2001, and it's like, hold up, there is a full history of Venezuelan feminism, like decades of people doing work, and just no. And then you read all the material, and it's like, so women are supposed to have babies and men are supposed to be daddies, and well, that's it. And it's like machismo at its best.
Yes.
Venezuela is a country that has been run, and I don't remember the name of the writer, but there is a really nice piece called Venezuela se maneja con las bolas.
Okay.
Which means Venezuela is run with
testicles.
Yeah. Or run by it. And that is how we work in politics. So there is a lot of that type of speech in how we try to deal. So all this, to me, like, I'm not Chavista, I'll never be Chavista, there's no fucking way in hell I'm going there. But when you get out of the country and you start questioning yourself, like, what things matter to me as a person? What are the changes I want to see in the world? Okay, you have to align yourself, you have to make some compromises. And to me, the first thing is, I'm a feminist. If you go against that, honey, we're in different parts.
Yeah.
Like, we're on different sides of this river, and we're gonna get in a fight. And it's gonna be a nice one, because I believe like the whole queer movement and women's movement, and when they come together, to me, that's what's going to change the world.
Yes.
That's the thing that's going to happen. Like, we're gonna save the koalas. We're gonna do that shit.
I do believe so. Also, we were talking about femicide rates in Latin America, and you were mentioning that you have.
Yes, I remember. I don't remember when my phone is because I had like stats, but like a week ago, and today is January 18. There were 8 feminicides
so far in the 2020
in my city, in Maracaibo.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, in Venezuela, we still say crimen pasional. It was a crime of passion. He killed her because he was jealous of her, and she is her property. And it doesn't, like, the law doesn't take as a femicide if it's not your boyfriend or your husband or your partner in some way, doesn't take it as a femicide.
Yeah.
So if I'm walking down the street and someone kidnaps me, rapes me, and murders me, it's not a feminicide. It was just a murder. And we have a high murder rate in Venezuela. Like, every 8 hours someone is killed. Someone in general, no gender reveal. But one of the things we're protesting for, or the women's movement, is protesting in general, because obviously there are politics involved and political parties involved. But everyone in general is like, can you drop some stats on this? Because we're kind of worried. Like, literally, trans women are being shut down in the street for years.
Mm-hmm.
Have you kept some numbers on this? And I'm like, what? What are numbers? It just blew you off completely. And so it's really hard to come and have like hard knock facts.
Yes.
And trying to, maybe talk with your uncle, or maybe you're trying to actually, like do some type of political work.
And if you don't know the facts, how are you going to pursue any
hard.
kind of action?
Because mostly come from people that are working directly, like ONGs. It's not ONG. GNO. Like a non-profit organization.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm smart sometimes. Yes. And they're working directly with the people, so they kind of know, like, okay, so we have the highest rate of adolescent pregnancies in Latin America, and it comes because we don't have social education in school, and we don't have access to condoms. It's like we don't have access to condoms. A condom costs the same as but would it be your salary of a month? So you gotta make some choices, and the human being will choose sex.
Yeah,
that's the
makes
thing.
sense. Yeah. Also, we were discussing so my country has 8 femicides a day. Oh, mine has 4 femicides a day. Oh, and also Mexico has femicides a day. And it's having true numbers on this. It's very important, because every country, because of the way they have written their law, has a different meaning on this word, and when they apply it and how they apply it. Not only on femicides, but also on abuse and rape.
Yes.
So whenever you see a ranking that says rape rates in America, and you see this country number 1, number 2, number 10, whatever, they aren't actually measuring the same crimes. So never trust that information, because it's impossible to compare.
Never judging the same crime, the same definition, and in every case that actually gets into being in front of a jury, then they kind of rewrite the definition. You have this case in Spain of La Manada, which is well, if someone drugs you up and rape you, but actually gang rape you, that's not actually rape. And it's like,
if there are no signs of struggle,
it's like, she was drugged.
Yes.
How will she try to apply any type of force against these people?
Yes.
Well, there wasn't, so she was fine with it. And it's like, no, that's not the definition. That's not the definition of rape. And you have to remind that not only to the people making the laws, but the people that you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to come to a common place.
Yes.
It's like, you cannot touch someone that is drunk and call it a night. No, you cannot do that. And that's not a joke.
No.
That is not a joke.
Changing the subject a little bit. I know you are a dancer.
Yes.
And you've been dancing forever.
My whole life.
Your whole life. Can you tell me a little bit about how being a dancer or a performer interacts with all these other sides of your?
Okay. I think I'm the first thing, the first label I have is being a dancer. I have it since I've been 3 years old. My whole life I was a dancer. Then it was like, people don't live
off a salary.
Lives alone in Venezuela, so I'm a journalist. And then I came back here, and I was trying to find a channel for all of these ideas, and I came back to dance, and I started doing comedy, and then I figured out, wait, this is exactly where everything I like meets. I'm a theater geek. a huge Broadway nerd. Try me out. I'm like a Lin-Manuel Miranda Wikipedia face. I'm crazy about it. So I see people like Rachel Bloom doing stuff like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or maybe Lonely Island.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing musical comedy, and it involves a lot of body work, and you learn how to do or how to use your whole body in that situation. And I don't know, to me it's all connected. I know it seems like I'm doing many things at the same time that go in different ways, but to me it's just like, no, it's almost all the same.
Yeah.
Or at least I try it to be, because you see the examples, and in many instances with many other people I admire, and I think like when you start mixing things up and say like, okay, so maybe we have this joke, we have this idea, maybe we can sing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we sing it, maybe we can dance it. And maybe there is something there that wouldn't happen if you don't open yourself to other instances of the idea. And it comes up so well. Like I've been obsessed listening and watching the clip of Make Him Laugh from Singing in the Rain. And Singing in the Rain, Gene Kelly, old school musical. Gene Kelly tries to explain to, I don't remember his name, but the other guy who was step dancing in that era. And Gene Kelly tries to get his friend to not feel bad about the role he was playing in the movie, because he was doing a comedy act. And he's like, I know you're like a real actor.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the audience wants to laugh.
Yeah.
And just make him laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone just make him laugh. And that whole clip is Gene Kelly doing like the most intricate choreography in the history of cinema, scratching himself into walls, doing a whole tribute to Charles Chaplin while singing and tap dancing, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't we go there more often?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll lose it with, I don't know, we lost it in a way, but I like the people that try to recover that.
Yeah. I feel the same way, and I think I only discovered this world of multidisciplinary work when I visited the States for the first time. I started doing stand-up when I took my first class when I was 17, but I didn't actually pursue it until I was 20. I was going to high school and taking classes afterwards.
You knew what you wanted.
No, I didn't. Actually, I dropped it and eventually came back to it. But I do have some jokes on my graduation trip.
Aww.
I'm going to Bariloche. That's where we go for graduation trips. Adorable. Yeah, a lot of rape in those jokes.
Yes.
Early rape.
Yeah.
And I would say, at least Buenos Aires has had its stand-up boom in the 2010 or so. And one of the things that I've noticed is that people who just stand up call themselves comedians. And we actually have a word for people who do stand-up comedy that is stand-upero, which stand-up comedians use kind of as an insult.
Like you're just only a stand-upero.
Yeah, but 99% of people are only stand-uperos. And when I saw that all these people who I knew as stand-up comedians only were actually also writing screenplays and sketches and doing improv and dancing and singing and performing, it was like, oh, so maybe stand-upero is not like, it's my true, it's the
that is me.
Yeah, that's not so bad. Like, actually we should check back that word and own it. Like, what I'm not saying it like don't pursue other kinds of comedy. I'm just saying, if stand-up is all you do, stop calling yourself a comedian and actually say stand-up comedian or stand-upero. Like, what's wrong with that? Just be true to what you actually know.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
Stand-up is hard work. Just try to stand in there and look at those people in the eye, and they're looking back at you like, make me laugh.
Yeah.
And now your heart is in your ass and your ass is in your mouth, and you have to make people laugh. in that feeling.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I took a class in Second City in Chicago, and it's an improv class, and once every semester we had a music improv class. Oh my god. The class I was taking was improv for actors, which I'm not. But they canceled my program, so I just ended up making my way through that program. And I was doing just fine, like getting by with all these people who are actors. Like, oh, okay, maybe I can kind of pass by actor. Now, when we had the musical improv class, they asked us to do escalas.
Harmonizing.
Yeah. And we had to go from 1 to 8 and from 8 to 1. And that's when I lost it. Like,
I am not Mariah.
I don't know how this works. I have no single skills. And also, I cannot count backwards in English. Like, this is so much for me right now. So I just started laughing. I laughed for like 10 minutes straight because it was fun to see my brain trying to figure out how to say 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like, I cannot do that in the tone that I'm supposed to. Like, and being an actor in the United States means that you can act and you can sing and you can kind of follow a choreography.
Yeah, you're a triple threat or nothing.
Nothing.
It's like Neil Patrick Harris. How is that guy a human being?
Yeah.
No, seriously, is he human? Because he can act, he sings perfectly, and he dances, and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, there is the opening of the Tonys, I believe it was like 2015, I'll say. Just Google Tonys opening Neil Patrick Harris, and you're gonna get gobsmacked.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I cannot believe this person could run a show, sing, make you laugh for 3 minutes straight, dancing, doing magic. He actually does a magic trick in the middle. And like, am I supposed to
also know magic?
Whoa.
Do I have to learn this too?
Exactly. And I think you should, because when you start doing things that make you uncomfortable, like we all hide in our, comfort zone. So when you try to do something that gets you really, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
You might find something funny. At least the story of trying to sing backwards and finding yourself like, well, I guess this is not for me.
Yeah.
It's a good story to tell.
Yeah, totally. And actually, I do believe like every kind of growth comes from being in an uncomfortable place. Like, if you're comfortable, you don't grow from there. Like, it's nice being comfortable every once in a while, but performing wise, you should never be comfortable.
No, RuPaul has said it. Never be safe. Never be safe. And one of my teachers, and in like my dance teachers, always says like, I'd rather have someone on stage that I have to call out and say, take it down one notch, just a tiny teensy bit, than having someone on stage that I have to call out and say, hey, look alive.
Yeah, take a risk.
Do something.
Yeah.
Do something different and get weird. Getting weird, the people that gets weird, it's like, the people I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, how did that even came out in your head? It's incredible. That's the people I'm like, oh my god, preserve his brain or her brain.
Yeah, of course. Do you see yourself like doing something that brings together all of this knowledge you have?
That's the main goal. Like, if I can kidnap Rachel Bloom and take over her job, that's an option.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm that good at kidnapping.
No.
So, and it's actually against the law.
Yeah.
So my way of going through that direction, I can also like take over Lin-Manuel Miranda's body, but it's gonna be hard. I'm not that good at witchcraft. So my way of doing this is right now I'm studying dance as a career. It's gonna be my second career. And I'm trying to find my way through it. I have things that are more serious and I pursue through journalism. I have things that I pursue through poetry because I'm intense and artistic. And then I have many ideas that are like, this is just batshit crazy, so I'm gonna try to find a way of doing it, and match everything up.
Yeah.
I don't think I can take the comedian out of the dancer and vice versa. I was doing a rehearsal for a play when I'm the choreographer, and everybody was laughing because the way I tried to explain things.
It's funny.
It's funny. I didn't mean it to be funny, but they were laughing. I'm like, just, okay, so this is how I do things.
Yeah.
Everything is a part of me, so I think I bring everything to the table every time I'm in.
Yeah, sure. I do believe, like, right now, well, Argentina is not going through its economical primest time. So we do have, like, a very big divide between, like, I would say there is, like, 5 very big place where they have like a lot of money put into advertising, and they have like main stars at their shows and stuff that try to be somewhat of a variety show.
Yeah.
I find them tacky, old school, not relevant, and they usually have like they fall into the like these mistakes all the time. Like,
and by mistakes we mean awful places.
Yeah,
awful trains of thought.
Awful trains of thoughts. But for example, they're doing a remake of Kinky Boots, and they casted an impersonator that's gonna be playing a transgender and also doing blackface because the original cast member is brown. So this is, I don't know.
It's a long stretch.
It's a lot.
The thing is, at this time of age, in Latin America, we deal with a lot of anti-blackness.
Yeah.
When we are, or most of us are a mixture of many things. So it's hard to explain blackface. So it's so many levels of, oh my God, we need to sit down and talk.
Yes.
You're gonna run into this. And I think we have to look up or reach out to different references.
Yes.
Because there are people doing things that are cringeworthy.
Yeah.
But there are people doing things that are nice. And then you have to find a way of translating it. It's like, I don't know, I do make a joke, or when I talk with other people, like, there is this thing, it's white feminism.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is white feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And it exists. And it's really far from where we are and what we live in our realities. And the same thing happens with all type of things, the trains of thoughts and arts and many things. And you can take someone like Rachel Bloom, who is doing a variety show where she dances and sings and does all these things that are cheesy, because it's cheesy.
Yeah.
And that's its charm. When you listen to her speech, you see like, oh, she's saying a few things here.
Yeah.
That are actually
relevant.
Yeah. Like, and maybe when you don't like, she has a whole song about period sex, and I think it's so important. so important.
Yeah.
That you listen to that song at least once a month, because it's going to change your life and it's going to change society as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for taking the time for being here. Please, do you want to tell our audience where they can find you if you're doing any shows?
Doing any shows? Yes, because I'm actually going to be at BA Comedy Lab.
What is that?
Oh my God, that is the best and only stand-up show in Buenos Aires.
In English?
Yeah.
Wow, when's that going to be?
I don't remember the date, but it's at the end of January.
It's January 29th at 8 p.m. at Radio Bar, and you can follow tickets. You can find your tickets in our Instagram or Facebook account. You have the link over there. Also, what's your social media?
You can find me everywhere as Where is Maddie, and I do really stupid stuff on the internet, so you're gonna have a full-on trip of me geeking out about drag race and musicals and kittens. That's my stuff. That's my jam.
Totally. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. Please subscribe, share, like, and all of that. Thank you all to all the people who already have done that. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ellie, for having me here.